Reviews. My name is Sutton Brown, and today is Christmas, so Merry Christmas. And as a little gift to you all, I thought I'd give my favorite Christmas movies and a couple of recommendations of some smaller Christmas movies that I've seen over the years that I think I would like you all to check out. So before I dive into my picks, make sure that you comment down below what your favorite Christmas movies are, and if you have any recommendations for Christmas movies, be sure to comment those down below too. So before I dive into this, just a little bit of a word of what this video is going to do in terms of what Christmas movies I'll cover. There will be 7 movies that I will do a brief discussion on, just quick recommendation on, and then I'm going to give you my top 3 favorite Christmas movies of all time. The 7 recommendations are not movies that I will say are the best Christmas movies of all time, but are some Christmas movies that I've seen over the years that I think are worth talking about. So with that said, let's dive into it, shall we? The first honorable mention on this list is going to be National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. So this is a Christmas comedy starring Chevy Chase, and it is about a family trying to have a good Christmas, but a lot of shenanigans go on, and it becomes kind of a disaster. But this is a film that is basically what you'd expect from a Christmas comedy. It's really funny. It's got great heart to it. It's got a great message about having the Christmas spirit no matter what goes on. And I think that the cast is really good. And one of my favorite jokes in it is the Jelly of the Month Club bit. So if you ever watch this, be on the lookout for that. If you haven't, I recommend you check it out. The second honorable mention is going to be any of the How the Grinch Stole Christmas movies. You got the classic, the early 2000s with Jim Carrey, and the 2018 version from Illumination. I think the story of the Grinch is a story worth exploring for Christmas season. It's got great characters. It's got a really impactful thematic message about finding the Christmas spirit no matter what your circumstances are. So this is a movies worth checking out. The third film that I'd recommend is 8-Bit Christmas. This is a film that not a lot of people have seen, but it's like a modern day A Christmas Story, except the BB gun is replaced with a gaming console. I think that it's a really fun and solid adventure into the Christmas genre, and even if it doesn't break a lot of new ground, it at least delivers what you'd expect. It's got great laughs, great characters, and a lot of really hilarious situations trying to get a gaming console for Christmas. So, this is a film I believe is worth checking out. The fourth movie I'm going to recommend is Anna and the Apocalypse. So this is a zombie slash musical slash Christmas movie, which you wouldn't expect to work, but I think for what the filmmakers were going for, this concept delivers so much. It's really fun, it's got great characters, and actually has some really great exploration about how you can find love and hope through people that you care about in troubling times, which is a thing that Christmas is really good for. So, Anna and the Apocalypse, while not for everyone, is a film worth checking out. The fifth film I'm going to recommend is The Polar Express. Now, despite its controversies, I grew up watching this movie, so it has a lot of nostalgic vibes to it. I love the characters, I love the story, I love the Christmas spirit, and it has one of my favorite scores of all time. So this is a Christmas movie worth checking out. The sixth movie that I'd recommend is The Nightmare Before Christmas. Now, this is a movie that, while I don't gravitate towards as much as other people do, I think that its concept, its characters, its music, and its animation more than set itself apart from any other movie that you'd watch during Christmas time. So, this is a movie worth checking out. The seventh and final honorable mention I'm going to name today is Klaus. Now, this is a 2D animated origin story of Santa Claus that came out on Netflix a couple years ago. It's got great characters, great animation, great music, and a really compelling story and narrative about finding your center of caring for others. So, this is a movie worth checking out. And those are my 7 honorable mentions for the Christmas season. Now, I did not have the time to include everything, so if there is any Christmas movies that you think I should check out, be sure to comment them down below. And before I dive into the top 3, thank you so much for staying tuned in. Again, remember to comment down below what your favorite Christmas movies are, and let's get started with the top 3 favorite Christmas movies of all time, according to Sutton Brown. The first film that I want to talk about in my top 3 is It's a Wonderful Life. Now, this is a story about a man named George Bailey who goes through some family, financial, and life struggles, and basically calls into question what the purpose of his life is and what would happen if he never existed. And then an angel is able to show him that life without him in it. Now, this is a movie that's really impactful for several reasons. This is a movie that I've only seen once, but I just remember how I felt after, just really thinking about that one single question: what is the purpose of life? And even those lingering questions: what would happen if I disappeared? Or what would happen if I never existed? What difference am I actually making to those I love? And I just think that this movie does one of the best jobs of exploring this concept. It's got really, really great characters, especially George Bailey. Maybe not the most flashy or like lovable guy, but he's just human. He's relatable. He cares for people, but he also cares for his future. He wants people not to suffer, but he wants people to succeed. Now, the problem that he faces is trying to control everything and thinking that just because bad things happen, he made the wrong choice. But I really love how this movie doesn't degrade the fact that he has made bad choices, but really lingers on the fact that we can still make better choices. We can learn from our mistakes. We can still have a wonderful life no matter what decisions we make. I think that the Christmas spirit is so prevalent here just because of the exploration of that. Because you could do the same thing with exploring the thematic quality of what's the purpose of something like Christmas. Well, the purpose of Christmas is, number one, if you're a Christian, to focus on the Savior Jesus Christ and his birth. Number two, it is to focus on others, giving to others, being a blessing to others, and helping people experience light in their lives. I think this movie brings that up so prevalently and does it in a way that's relatable and human. It feels like something that, like, if George Bailey was taken out and you were put in his position, you could understand where he's coming from. You can even take the example of your own story and pull a George Bailey where you can call into question, what difference would there be if I didn't exist? And then you can reflect on what that difference is. And the best thing that this movie really helps the audience understand is that you can have a wonderful life no matter what your circumstances are. And again, during the Christmas season, this is a topic that needs to be addressed every single year. That is my belief. And I just love the characters. I love the music. I love the cinematography, the editing. This movie, just structurally, is so fascinating because like the first hour and a half is literally just George Bailey going through life, and then the last bit is him actually experiencing what his life would be like if he didn't exist, which he wouldn't have any life at all. Nobody would know him. Nobody would care about him because they don't know he exists because he doesn't exist. So I just think overall, this movie is something that one time I watched it really sunk deep into my heart and has a lot to say about the purpose of life that I think is prevalent for the Christmas season. So this is one of my top 3 favorite Christmas movies of all time. The second of my top 3 favorite Christmas movies of all time is Home Alone. Now, this is a Christmas movie about a little kid named Kevin McAllister that is left home alone. And the shenanigans ensue after that when 2 bandits try to break into his house and he must defend his family belongings. So, this is a movie that's commonly referred to as a Christmas classic, and I am not running out of that camp. I agree with just about everyone that this is a Christmas classic. And not just because this is a really funny film with great slapstick, great jokes, just great banter between characters. This is also a movie that when it attempts to teach a message about Christmas, it succeeds so well. I think Kevin McAllister is a really funny, endearing, and charming lead. I know that his character always puts a smile on my face, but every time I rewatch this movie, I forget there is a softer side to him. He acts just like a little kid. Like, he can be grumpy. He can be outraged that things don't go the way he wants it, especially when family comes in the way and doesn't treat him right. And sometimes he can mistreat them. It's a relatable situation. But in the end, Kevin learns how to love his family and appreciate everything that they've done for him. And this movie just applies that message so well. And the Wet Bandits are so hilarious. I love the banter between the two. And I love all the slapstick / trap shenanigans that Kevin ensues upon these 2 robbers. They're terrible people, and they kind of deserve it. But Kevin McAllister just makes it so fun because the actor is just so good at playing a little kid, because he's a little kid in this movie. And just his interactions between the Wet Bandits always put a smile on my face. And with that said, one other detail that elevates this movie for me is the score. I love this score. Fun fact, I actually played this score in an orchestra concert while I was in junior high. And that was like the first time I really got to know the music. And so hearing it anytime during this movie, I'm like, oh, I played that before. I love it. So with that said, this movie's got great characters, it's got great laughs, great slapstick, and really great thematic exploration of appreciating those you love, even when they're gone. And so this is a Christmas movie I believe is worth checking out. The third and final Christmas movie that is in my top 3 favorite Christmas movies of all time is no surprise to anyone. If you've been watching this video, you know what I'm wearing. It is Elf. This is probably the most quoted movie that comes out of my mouth. Because Elf is so funny. It is one of the funniest movies I have ever watched. I always laugh. I always smile, which is very ironic considering Buddy literally says, I love smiling. Smiling is my favorite. He makes me feel that. I just love this concept. I love the characters. I love the laughs. I actually really appreciate the story and the thematic qualities of spending time with those you love, kind of similar to Home Alone, but instead of a kid being left home alone, it's an elf trying to go and find his family. So, I also think, like Home Alone, this has one of the best Christmas scores and movie scores ever. It's instantly iconic. It brings the Christmas spirit. And while I didn't play it, I can always vibe to it. Basically, anytime. It doesn't matter what time of the year it is, I can vibe to the score from Elf. And what really makes this movie work is Will Ferrell as Buddy the Elf. Buddy the Elf is just an iconic character. He's really funny, but he's also really sincere. He wants to have relationships with people. And even when he's understood, he still loves them and cares about them. He still looks at them with a grin on his face, even when they throw snowballs at him. It's something that I think is so... oh my gosh, I can't speak, but it is something that I feel we can all take away. No matter what's thrown at us in this life, especially during Christmas time, we can always face the future with a smile on our face. I think that's just a really fascinating concept that people might think is dumb, but I love and know works so well. So with that said, I could quote this verbatim. I could make a video just literally quoting this movie. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to spare you the awkwardness and let you go watch the movie yourself. Because this is one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time, with great characters, great score, great direction, a great story, and some of the funniest sequences ever. The one sequence I will always quote is Buddy the Elf approaching the mall Santa. This is a movie worth checking out, and it is one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. Thank you so much for staying tuned in. Those are some of my favorite Christmas movies of all time and a few honorable mentions of Christmas movies I'd recommend. If you like this video, be sure to leave that like down below and also comment your favorite Christmas movie of all time. And be sure to be on the lookout for future videos. And I will see you next time. Merry Christmas, everyone, and have a happy holidays.